So I intensely grinded 1v1s for a full month, and I learned a lot of things in this time that helped me win a lot more fights and become almost unkillable in not only 1v1s but actual ranked games as well. In this video, I'll show you guys some techniques that I developed in this time that helped me improve and become better at a faster rate. But before I start, please like the video for me, it helps me out a lot. Let's go. So starting off, I want to talk about what your mindset should be and things you need to think about while fighting that will help you become a better player than before. First thing is awareness. One thing that separates the Fortnite greats and the average is their awareness. It's something that feels like common sense, but it's actually way more important than you think. Maybe even like top 3 most important things to try and improve, along with editing and your mechanics. Think about your favorite pro player for a second, and when they're in a fight, it always seems like they know exactly where the enemy is. They know exactly when to pickaxe a wall, when to shoot, when not to shoot, etc. They know how to make the right decisions in every fighting situation they get in because of how good their awareness and game sense is. For an example, let's say your enemy is weak and he's trying to get away. You have to be aware of where he's trying to escape to and know where to apply pressure efficiently to get the kill quicker. Another example is when you're building up for height, you have to be aware of where the enemy is so you don't get shot from an angle that you didn't expect. I noticed when I actually started to keep a mental note and be aware of where my enemy was at all times, rather than just fighting and trying to out mechanic and guess blindly where the enemy was, it led me to making way smarter decisions, making it way easier to get kills. Right now, I'll show you guys a clip of me having really good awareness in a fight. Notice how in this clip I stopped building, looked around for the enemy, and seen where he was going. Doing this let me know exactly how I should play my next move, making it easier to piece control him. So to improve and get your awareness better, you have to actually slow down and pay attention to where your enemy is and where he's trying to go. Think of it like a game of chess, where every decision you make is crucial to the outcome of the game. Last but not least, always think before you do something. Ask yourself if it's the safest and smartest option that you could do at the time. The next thing I want to talk about is redirection. It's one of the best things that I've ever learned in practice. Redirection is basically doing things in fights you normally wouldn't do to throw off and confuse the enemy. To help you better understand, I like to think of redirection as not doing the first thing that comes to your mind. A simple example would be when build battling, you ramp out in a certain direction so the enemy puts his focus in that direction, then you turn around and go up another way. It's a really good way to stay unpredictable in fights. Right now, I'll show you guys an example of how I use redirection in fights. What I did was, instead of staying in the box, I used redirection to sprint and place a wall on the side of the enemy to catch him off guard. You'd be surprised on how easy but effective this is to do in real fight scenarios. The way I practiced and got good with this tactic is I tried to do something different than what I was currently thinking to do at the moment in time I was fighting. For an example, if I thought to do a side jump, I would stop myself and I would do something different instead. The last thing you want to be in fights is predictable. Next thing I want to briefly talk about is playing people better than you. A lot of people, including myself at one point, avoided playing better players. The reason for this is when you lose at something you're good at, it hurts your ego. I've noticed that once I dropped my ego and started to play people better than me, I started developing techniques and adapting to play styles, making me a lot better in the process. There's always room for improvement, and remember that losing isn't necessarily a bad thing because you can always improve and learn from it. Then you can apply it to the next time you're in that same situation. The last mindset trait that I want to talk about that I've developed that helped me become super good quickly at the game is confidence. Confidence is such a big factor in your fighting success. Without it, you become scared to play better people and scared to take fights, making it way harder to improve at the game. Think about it like this: the opposite of confidence is nervousness. And a lot of the times you're nervous doing something is because of the lack of experience you have on it. It's hard to have confidence with doing new things. So the best way to stop being nervous and gain confidence for fighting is to get more fighting experience. Meaning you have to fight a lot more. WKing and challenging better players to 1v1s are great ways to build your confidence up. The best piece of advice I can give you is to give it time with trial and error. If you fight enough, you'll build the confidence sooner or later. So on to the tactics that I developed while grinding 1v1s for 1 month. The first one I want to talk about is a defensive technique called the snail. So now I'm going to show you guys how to do the snail. It's best to do this when you're weak or getting pushed. So first you're going to start off with you boxing up, and then all you got to do is edit out your back wall, make a box, make another box, and make another box. This way it gives you so much room to work with, and if you're getting pushed and then your enemy follows you inside, you can literally trap him in so many different ways. So now you know how to make the snail. I'll show you it in an actual fight. The snail is the best defense you can possibly do when you're weak, especially if you make it out of all metal. I highly recommend you should learn it. The next move that I want to talk about that I've developed is the side cone jump. It's super easy, but one of the most effective and protective techniques you could possibly learn. This move is super easy to do. All you have to do is when you side jump, you look down, place a floor, place a ramp, but you also place a cone above you so it protects you from anybody on height. You usually use this move when you're trying to take height, but it's super effective and super easy to do. And now I'll show you guys me using this in actual fights. This move is great for beginners and I really recommend that you guys start doing this in your daily 1v1s. The next thing I want to talk about is resetting builds. It's so underrated and a lot of people, including myself sometimes, forget to do this in high intense situations. If you think about it, why editing and then resetting your build will almost always give you the first shot advantage in fights, leaving you more likely to win that engagement. I literally started abusing this in every situation and this made me almost unkillable. The hardest part about it is actually remembering to do it in the fights. My best piece of advice for getting better at this is to play a lot of Marty's Turtle Wars to practice it. Here's a couple of clips of me doing this in the fights. Implementing this more into your game style would most definitely make you a better player. The final technique that I want to talk about that I've developed after grinding for a month is high walls. High walls are so good because it allows you to retake height while being super protected while also being able to piece control at the same time. High walls are a necessity to learn if you want to get good at 1v1, zone wars, and fighting in general. So basically what high walls are is really self-explanatory. It's just a wall and a wall higher than the wall right here. So it just gives you an extra layer of protection whenever you're trying to go for height. This is probably a technique that I use the most and I'll show you guys how to use them right now. So since you see me free building with them, now I'll show you me using them in actual fights. Oh my. So these were a couple of things that I picked up on that made me a way better fighter and player in a month of playing 1v1s. I didn't want to make the video too long, but I have a lot more tactics that I've used and learned. So let me know if you guys want a part 2. Drop a like for me and thanks for watching. It's Metric and I'm out.